In the last couple of months, I've been watching a lot of Chinese series based on Chinese mythology, in this case, The Destiny of the White Snake. And what's interesting to me about Eastern philosophy and mythology, which underpins these movies, is that it's the complete opposite of the dualistic paradigm of black and white in Western mythology. Western culture is much younger than Chinese culture. It's, we're talking 1 to 2,000 years compared to 4,000 years. And at the base of Chinese philosophy is the equality of yin and yang. And here we see a demon, and then we have a monk in one form. And so at the base is cultivation. And so in an earlier episode, this monk has tamed a water dragon that was doing a lot of damage. Now, this demon is the ride or the mount, kind of like the horse, of a high deity. So we're looking at pluralistic deities, for one, with different schools and different teachings that have to get along with one another. And then we have pluralistic demons that also form alliances and have to get along with one another. Now, I noticed in Thailand that at the base of the temples were half human, half animal, half human, half monster figures that were all around the temple and were lifting up and holding up the temples. And that as the evolutionary process of consciousness occurs and you ascend the temple, it moves from these half human, half animal figures into geometry. And then you have the spire, the pinnacle. And the language that's being used is one of cultivation or evolution of consciousness. And over time, the demon becomes the deity. And so conflicts occur and tests of power, which are tests of intelligence, tests in the use of energy. And if there really is superior intelligence in the deity, then the demon submits into an alliance of some kind. And what's also very interesting is that there's not a black and white, good and evil paradigm. It's rather a state of evolution. So you go from a more predatory energy. This demon is being interrupted, feeding off of a human child. And he rescues the child and challenges the demon. And this demon has served the, I guess, one of the higher deities, as a horse for 1,000 years. And so there's this sense that the raw primitive energy is slowly refined, much like metal is refined from iron into steel, and from steel into some form of alloy, and from an alloy perhaps into something more refined and stronger. But throughout this tension process, it's almost an inner dialogue between the psychology, or I guess the more base parts of a human being to the more refined parts. And there's a dialogue.
子轩，你敢坏我事！若不是因为白帝护你，你怎敢如此胆大妄为？竟然以孩童之心来修炼邪术，无所忌惮。区区几个凡夫俗子，死不足以众生平等。你造的孽，定会付出代价。
And so one of the things that's in tension is the idea of just raw power at the base level, because this demon has more power than the mortal child that he was practicing or feeding on. And the higher cultivation is talking about the equality. It's a deeper sense of connectivity. So there's a sense of evolving from the reptilian brain into the more empathic brain within each one of us. But I think it's very significant to understand that a culture is based on its mythology, and a mythology in which something slowly evolves, a mythology of balance. That monk recently captured a water dragon who was, causing a lot of damage. But his advice, he didn't kill the water dragon in the way that in Western culture you have the good guys and the bad guys. And when you capture a bad guy, you kill him and you demonize them. But there's a lot of respect between these primal cultures, and I just find it fascinating to see the underlying mythology of yin and yang, of light and dark, of demons and higher cultivated beings. And there's also an awareness of corruption in the, quote, heaven world, the upper world, as well as corruption in the demon world, and that what is needed is some kind of action that leads to peace, that leads to a restoration of balance.